Welcome to this year's edition of the NFHS Football Video Training Series. We're studying the National Federation of High School Football Rules and Five-Man Mechanics. This is our video training collection, sponsored by the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, the AAHSO, helping good officials get better. Our technical advisor for the rules is George Demetrio. Greg Dowlam is our line of scrimmage technical advisor. Senior technical advisor is Dax Hill. This video is produced by Matt Bivens. Executive producer is Walt Coleman. I'm your host, Todd Allen. The dog days of summer bring one of my favorite days of the year, the special delivery of the Reading Study Guide for NFHS Rules. Hi, Todd Allen. For those of you who followed my training series for any length of time, you know how much I depend on the Reading Study Guide to keep my football rules knowledge sharp. This year's book was as good as any. I was excited to get in and take a look at the 2022 rule changes, major penalty enforcement, and to dig into my favorite chapter, Chapter 6, which studies the kicking game. Because there's always seems to be a game or two in week 1 or week 2 of the year where we screw up a rule related to the kicking game. The book is laid out in 12 easy-to-read chapters, takes the technical rules and breaks them down in fun chapters complete with quiz questions and answers that's going to build your knowledge and challenge your application of the rules. Whether you're a first-year official or a veteran like me, you're going to learn something and enjoy the book every time you pick it up. Invest in your ability and skill set as a football official by picking up the 2022 version of the Reading Study Guide for the NFHS Rules, also available in an NCAA version. As a football official, when you're through learning, you're through. The summer heat is here, and that reminds us of one thing. The 2022 NFHS football rule change video is out, and here it is today. Hope you're ready for this. We're going to make some changes to the timing rule and a new exception for intentional grounding I think you're going to like. And then we're going to talk about the free blocking zone and in particular blocking below the waist in much detail. So let's get started. The first thing we want to talk about is the team box area, and the rules now say that they both have to be identical on both sides, but we're going to allow state associations to approve an extension of these team box and to determine who may or may not be in this extended area. Again, just make sure both sidelines are exactly the same, and this is a change to Rule 1.2.3G Notes 3 and a new Table 1.7, so take a look at that. Some potential changes for the team box area. Also a change for 1.3.3, any game official may order the ball change between the downs. Unless the ball is ordered changed by the referee or another game official, team A scoring a touchdown with one ball, like in Mechanigram A, may not request a different ball for the try, like in B, but may use a different approved ball for the ensuing free kick. Important language is their free kick approved ball. They can use a different one for the free kick, but not for the try. So when the deep snapper runs out with an extra ball, we're just going to kick that out and play with the same ball. Umpires, you own this. You've done a great job with it. Here's some clarification for it, and just continue to take care of this rule. This is another minor rule change in 1.4.3, and basically we're adding 0 to the number base from used to be 1 to 99, now it's 0 to 99, but 0 is a single digit, so it will just be 0, not double 0, and 1 through 9 will be just 1 through 9. You can't have a 0 in front of those single digits either. A little more detail, but for us this is not going to change anything because they've just changed the definition of a chop block to the way we have always been officiating the rule, 2.3.8, chop block, combination block by 2 or more teammates against an opponent other than the runner, with or without delay, where one of the blocks is below the waist and the other block is above the waist. High-low, low-high, with or without a delay, anywhere on the field is always a foul. I like this change. The first of several changes involving the game or play clock. This is when a foul is committed with less than 2 minutes remaining in either half. The rule is 3.4.7, and what it says is the offended team has the option to start the game clock on the snap. Look at Mechanigram A. Team B trails when Team A fouls. Team B's coach is consulted in play pick B, and he chooses to decline this penalty because it's going to bring up 4th down, and he also wants to have the clock started on the snap. Notice in this play, though, it is a black hat over talking to the head coach. Sideline officials, you've got to own this rule. You've got to own your communication with your coach. There's no reason we should have the referee come over to consult with the coach about something like making this decision. We ought to be able to clearly and concisely explain it to the coach so he can make the best decision for his team, and we don't unnecessarily need to delay the game by having the referee come over to the sideline and repeat everything we should have already said. Several rules involving the clock. Here's one, 3.6.1a, 1e, exception 2. And this is a new rule. When the clock is stopped due to a neutral zone infraction by Team B, and Team B is the only team that fouls, the play clock will be set to 40 seconds. And what this does is quintessentially allow Team A, since Team B fouled with the clock running, to run off an additional 15 seconds from the game clock. So this is our biggest rule change of the year, and it's changed to an exception in the intentional grounding rule 7.5.2d, and now this is exception 2. Look at the new table as well. It's legal for a player to conserve yardage by intentionally throwing an incomplete forward pass if the passer has been beyond the lateral boundary of the free blocking zone established at the snap and the pass reaches the neutral zone, including an extension beyond the sideline. So let's just break this down section by section. Now notice that it does say that it has to be a forward pass and it has to go beyond the neutral zone extended. So if the player who's passing the ball throws the ball out of bounds, as long as it reaches the neutral zone, then he's fine. And he has to get outside the lateral boundary of the free blocking zone that's established at the snap. And this is, again, that 6 by 8 yard area that's established from the center of the ball. And there's a great diagram of this in the Reading Study Guide. And this is unique because the purists don't like a rule change like this because they don't want our game to be like the NFL or the NCAA. But the reality is the committee did not want the quarterback to continue to take unnecessary punishment or additional hits when he's just basically trying to get rid of the ball. And this is a win for the defense because an incomplete forward pass is definitely a win for the defensive team. So this protects the passer, and it also gives the defense still a chance to win the down. So I like everything about this. And this next slide is going to show us how our game continues to be unique. So this slide shows us that the player taking advantage of the new rule exception not need be the player who received the snap. So what we traditionally think about as the quarterback. So in this play, you see that A1 is the quarterback or the player that takes the snap, and he pitches the ball back to A2. A2 runs near the sideline, is about to be sacked for a loss. So instead, he just flips the ball forward out of bounds, but it does get to the neutral zone. So he's allowed to take the exception in intentional grounding, which we just talked about, that allows him to legally ground the ball as long as he's been outside the lateral boundary of the free blocking zone, which in this play he clearly has been, and the ball reaches the neutral zone, including extended out of bounds. This ball actually made it to the neutral zone inbounds, but continued on out of bounds and is clearly beyond the neutral zone. And this is a good example of, we don't want to be too technical. If it gets near the neutral zone, we want to call that the neutral zone because we want to be consistent with this. It's the same thing with the player getting out of the outer boundary of the free blocking zone. Don't be overly technical. If he gets to the area, it's close, you want to rule that he was outside of the free blocking zone. Again, this is one of those when in doubts that we talk about so much. Next, we're going to talk about the editorial changes to the rule book, and there's a couple of slides here that list them all. I'm not going to go over them in this video, but feel free to freeze frame and look at those as you want to. These are just editorial changes that were made to the rule book. All right, let's talk about the rule reminders. First one we'll visit is blocking below the waist. Rule 2.17.2c. In play pick A, both players are in the free blocking zone and on the line of scrimmage. In play pick B, the block is legal because it's in the zone at the time of the snap, is an immediate initial action following the snap, and both players began the play on their lines of scrimmage and in the free blocking zone. It is legal for offensive linemen to block below the waist in the free blocking zone, provided both players were on their lines of scrimmage and within the zone at the snap, and the block is an immediate initial action following the snap. Number 77 could only block number 62 below the waist if the block was an immediate initial action following the snap. Number 65 can block number 93 below the waist, even though 93 is playing off his shoulder, if the block is an immediate initial action following the snap. Number 72 could not block number 55 below the waist at any time during this play. While in the free blocking zone, the initial contact in play pick A is with the hands and below the waist. When the blocker finishes the block below the waist in play pick B, it is not a foul. The block below the waist is legal if it occurs in the free blocking zone, provided both players were on their line of scrimmages and within the zone at the time of the snap, and the block is an immediate initial action from the snap. The initial contact in play pick A is above the waist. In play pick B, the blocker then loses contact and the blocker starts a new block below the waist. This is a foul. A block below the waist is legal if it occurs in the free blocking zone, provided both players were on their lines of scrimmage and within the zone at the time of the snap, and the block is an immediate initial action following the snap. What makes this a foul is the block in play pick B is not immediate because we had the initial block, which was high. If the block in play pick B had been immediate low, it would have been legal. But because he first engaged high and then subsequently lost contact and went low, that's what makes this block a foul. The offensive coaches love when we talk about this. The rules regarding blocking below the waist apply equally to both teams. In this play pick, the defender goes below the waist outside the free blocking zone to take out the lead blocker. This is an illegal block by the defender. A block below the waist is only legal if it occurs in the free blocking zone, provided both players were on their line of scrimmage at the snap and within the zone at the time of the snap, and the block has to be an immediate initial action following the snap. This is not immediate because it's a pulling guard or a player outside the line of scrimmage who's running with the ball carrier out ahead, and then the defender cuts him. That's what makes this block illegal. First of all, it's not an initial block, and second of all, it occurs outside the free blocking zone. Either one of those actions would make this a foul, but the fact that it did not occur as the immediate action following the snap is what makes it easier to remember that fouls can occur both on the A or B side of the ball, depending on who initiates the block low. The last of the rule change reminders, and I won't spend much time on 1.5.1c3 because game officials don't really officiate this part of the game. This is just something the coaches and athletic directors need to be aware of. The entire body of the number, the continuous horizontal bars and vertical strokes, exclusive of any borders, shall be approximately 1.5 inches wide. Effective with the 2024 season, the entire body of the number, the continuous horizontal bars and vertical strokes, shall be a single solid color that clearly contrasts with the body color of the jersey. The style of the numbers on all 4 of these jerseys are legal now and will be legal in 2024 also. Here are some examples of jerseys that you can play with now through the 2023 season, but all 4 of these jersey types will be illegal after 2023. 2022 points of emphasis will again be sportsmanship, targeting and defenseless players, and legal uniforms and equipment. Poor sportsmanship by coaches, players, sets a negative tone for the fans, the game officials, and others. Fans must not employ language or acts that defames, demeans, abuses, or bullies a competitor, game official, or another fan. Issues with fan behavior should be directly referred immediately to game management by the game officials. We don't want to take the fans on, or we don't want to involve ourselves in actions with security and fans. We just need to stop the game, get the game manager involved, and get the fans removed by game management. A downed runner is defenseless and cannot protect himself against unnecessary contact. An example of that is in play pick A. Once a pass is thrown, a passer is defined as a defenseless player in play pick B. A pass receiver attempting to catch a pass, or a pass receiver who is clearly relaxed when the player has missed the pass or feels he can no longer catch the pass, should also be considered a defenseless player, and the example here is in play pick C. A1 is obviously out of the play and not in the immediate vicinity of the runner. A1 is then by definition defenseless. The contact by B1 is a personal foul. These should just jump out at you, and they should be clear examples of players who have given up on the play, and then we see someone just come in and decleat them or really hit them really hard, and we know that it's just a cheap shot, and these should jump out at you as you officiate the game. And these are the types of hits on players that we definitely want to take out of the high school football game. Take a look at some equipment and uniform issues. Look at play pick A. Players who fail to wear required equipment during a down must be replaced for one down. And you see this player in play pick A, he doesn't have any thigh pads or knee pads. So in play pick B, you see him on the sideline having to get that equipment replaced, and he's out for one play. This is something that's very important. This is why it's critical to get out and watch the teams in pregame do their warm-ups. Make note of any players who are not wearing equipment legally or who do not have required equipment, make a note of those, get them to the head coach or whoever he's designated as being in charge of equipment. Before the teams finish their warm-up, give them a complete list and say, these players, coaches are not legally equipped. Here's the problem. Get this taken care of before the game starts, and it's going to make the game run so much easier. When you have to deal with these things after the game starts, it just unnecessarily delays the game and it gives the fans a bad taste. It's just a way we can preventive officiate, and if we don't do it, it makes the game harder on us as officials. That is it for the 2022 rule change videos. Hope you got something out of that. There's a lot more information in the 2022 version of the Reading Study Guide. I really would encourage you to pick that up and do the reading before the season starts. Get yourself polished up, ready to go. Also, continue your physical fitness training. Be in shape, be ready to go, and keep up with these student athletes. We know it's going to be hot as the season starts, so we need to be in top physical shape and just get better as the season goes on. If no one has told you lately, I really appreciate what you do for the game of high school football. It's critically important. Remember, without you, it's simply practice. For the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, this is Todd Allen saying I hope to see you on the field real soon.